Alright, so in this video, I've compiled a list of some of my worst video game related hot takes, and I came up with exactly 50 of these. I think it's pretty self-explanatory what's going on here, because I literally just said it, so let's get right into it, and don't get angry at me. Don't take it too seriously. In fact, I don't even know if some of these are even hot takes. Maybe people agree, or I'm sure people agree regardless of if they're unpopular opinions, but here we go. Number 1. I honestly think that realistic sports and racing games, or just more realistic games for literally any genre, are either just like not good, or just boring, or just significantly worse than games that add special twists or like non-fictional aspects. For example, Mario Kart is like infinitely better than just some boring regular racing game like NASCAR Heat or whatever. And in addition to that, like, it also applies to shooters, like Fortnite is better than just like some regular shooting game that is just realistic physics and just realistic guns and nothing special about it. Like Fortnite actually has building to make it unique and not just a real life experience. Number 2, the N64 controller. I held that off in my previous video about the N64 because I wanted to mention it here, and it's that I honestly think that, aside from the fact that it has a terrible joystick, if the joystick was improved, it would honestly be like the best controller ever. And I know a lot of people say it's like the GameCube controller, but I genuinely think the N64 is just a really good controller, especially if it had a better joystick. Like, holding it, I personally think it's more comfortable than any other controller, and I know people might disagree because, oh, it's weirdly shaped and has 3 prongs, how are you supposed to hold it? Well, that's the cool thing about it. It's like the only controller out there that you can hold in multiple different ways. You can hold it in 3 different ways, realistically. And also, when you hold it, especially if you're playing any kind of game that is like shooting stuff, it almost just kind of feels like you're holding like a blaster of sorts. Also, it has that port on the back that allows for various add-ons like the Rumble Pack and the Transfer Pack, which was very innovative, and I don't think I've seen a single other controller ever that has that on it. And it pretty much paved the way for all future controllers with its joystick for 3D gaming that, you know, is just like huge today. And it's honestly just overhated. And also, its large colored buttons with the color coding, it's really just user-friendly as well. Number 3. Minecraft is only fun with friends. Yeah. I mean, that might just be a personal thing, but I genuinely don't think you can have fun in that game unless you have friends. In fact, even when you're playing with friends, the fun doesn't really come out of playing the game, it just kind of comes out of, like, making the fun up and talking to your friends while playing it. Number 4. Mario Party 9 is a good game. The extra modes and minigames are arguably the best in the series. Although the party mode is different, that doesn't mean it's bad, and that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. Not every Mario Party is to be the same thing. Like, I feel like in some game series, people will complain that everything is too similar, but then in Mario Party, they just want it to be the same thing over and over, and people are just like, oh, Mario Party 9 and 10 have the car, everyone moves at the same time, instantly terrible video games, because it's not the same thing 10 times in a row. Number 5. The 3DS is the greatest console ever. Might be a little nostalgia bias, but I genuinely think that. Like, among all handhelds and home consoles, I genuinely think the 3DS is, like, peak. It has the dual screen, the mic, the touchscreen, the internet browser, the eShop. Of course, those don't function anymore, but pre-installed apps and software, a great library of games, the innovation of it, the variety of models and colors that it came in, the camera, just everything about it. And this honestly goes for the DS too, kind of. I just genuinely think that anything that is on the DS or 3DS is just automatically better than a game from the same series that isn't on the DS or 3DS just because of how well they function with the hardware that they're for. Like Mario Kart DS, I genuinely think that's like the best one in the series just because the way it works in tandem with having the dual screen just makes it so much better. Number 6. Paid DLC is stupid. It should always either be part of the game to begin with, free content, or fleshed out into a whole new game. So I feel like I see a lot of fans of certain games talking about how they want DLC to happen. Why would you want DLC? Why would you want to pay more for a game you already paid for? You should expect the developers to have put more effort in it to begin with, or just make another game, or make it free add-on since you already paid for the game. Number 7. Kirby Star Allies is better than Forgotten Land. Yes, Forgotten Land is, I guess, objectively more fleshed out because it's in 3D and it has better graphics. But Forgotten Land took away all the cool bonus modes like Guest Star and Another Dimension that Star Allies had. And the main thing that really bothered me about it is that Star Allies was 4 players, and then Forgotten Land jumped down to 2 players. And also, the second player can literally only play as Bandana Waddle Dee and just throw a stick around. Meanwhile, in Star Allies, you can literally play as virtually any character in the game, including past heroes and villains from the series. It was really cool. Number 8. Fortnite should not be expanding as much as it is. I genuinely think it's just a big money grab. I mean, that's kind of everything these days, but yeah. I honestly don't think any game should try to be a million things in one, like Fortnite is trying to be now with the stupid, like, music festival, the Lego mode, all of the fan-made creative modes, and it's literally just becoming Roblox. Whatever else they have, like the racing Mario Kart knockoff, all that garbage. Like, Fortnite adding all these modes is just taking away from what makes Fortnite Battle Royale Fortnite Battle Royale. It's a Battle Royale, it's not all these other things. Like, it's losing its identity, it's just becoming like a Roblox 2.0. It's just trying to be too much that it isn't and it never was, and it's just obviously a money grab, and they're just trying to, like, monopolize the gaming industry. Number 9. This might be the worst thing you're gonna hear me say, and if you're like an old Nintendo gamer, you might hate me after saying this. Or not even just Nintendo, but I'm about to list off a few games that I played through recently, and I genuinely think they just, like, overall weren't enjoyable, and they're just highly overrated. So to start off with a lighter one so that I don't get too crazy right off the bat, we got Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. This game, people like it. I've seen rankings of all the Mario RPGs, and this is pretty high up there. I didn't really get it. I just thought it was like a kind of tedious RPG. It was very confusing, a lot of just obnoxiously difficult and confusing parts. I barely knew where to go most of the time because the map sucked. Yeah. And in addition to that, Yoshi's Island and also Yoshi's Woolly World. And just based on the fact that I didn't really get into either of those two, I'm sure all the other Yoshi games like Yoshi's Story and Touch and Go or whatever are probably not good as well. But it was just like a much more annoying version of a regular Mario game, especially Yoshi's Island with the stupid baby Mario mechanic, and he just screams at you if you touch anything. Very annoying, not the biggest fan. And in addition to that, Mario Sunshine. Genuinely the only 3D Mario game that I'm not a fan of. I just genuinely think that, like, the controls, the mechanics, the gimmick with FLUDD, it's all just so bad. It somehow controls and just plays worse than Mario 64, which at least is, like, a very iconic and good game to make up for it. But Sunshine, I just really don't get it. I've been trying to beat that game ever since 3D All-Stars came out, and I just haven't been able to bring myself to play through the whole thing, because it's just not worth it. Alright, now this is where it gets really bad, but I'm serious about this. We've also got, and these aren't Nintendo games, but literally all of the classic Sonic games. I've been playing through these recently on the Sonic Classic Collection for DS, and these might be the most overrated garbage things I've ever experienced. Especially Sonic 3, that was just miserable. I really don't understand why people like these games so much. My biggest problem with them is that the whole idea of Sonic the Hedgehog is that you gotta go fast. It's fast gameplay, you run really fast, but every single level in every single game finds some stupid way to slow you down, make you stand still, stop you for no reason, kill you, just do everything in its power to not let you go fast. So what is the point then? You're just ruining the entire concept of what was supposed to happen. There's just so much garbage enemy placement, and you spend the entire level collecting all these rings, and then you touch literally anything, and you lose all of them instantly, and then you die. It's terrible. And the bosses in all the games are just so quantity over quality. It's just sad. And then finally we have two SNES games, which are some of, like, the most popular games ever, but I genuinely don't get them. One of which is A Link to the Past, I'm not saying it's a bad game, I'm just saying, like, it was confusing, and I just didn't get it, and I never was able to finish it. Like, I got an hour in, and I was just like, alright, I'm not doing this, this is not it. And more importantly, a game I actually did finish, but it was really miserable and boring trying to finish, was Super Metroid, which is like the most popular Metroid game ever. I don't understand why that is a thing that people say, because, wow, that was just like a drag and very obnoxious. Pretty much every single game I just listed feels more like a chore than an actual good experience, at least in my opinion. So sorry if I got you mad, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, number 10. Fortnite Season 7 is the best season ever, mainly for the vibes, but also the battle pass, the varied yet balanced map of all the different biomes, the good loot pool, the great timing for the season to happen lining up right with the winter season. Additionally, I think the OG season that they did recently, trying to bring all the old players back for that nostalgia bait, I honestly don't think it lived up to the actual OG days of the game, just because the feeling was gone and you really can't create the past again. Number 11. This is going to be another scary one, so strap in. Mario Kart 64 is better than Wii and Double Dash. Now, you might be thinking, how on earth could I possibly say that? But first of all, let me say this. I didn't grow up with any of those three games, so I don't have nostalgia bias for any of them. But I recently tried all of them in like the past year, and I genuinely enjoyed 64 the most after trying them recently. I just think 64's art style and vibe is much more memorable and nicer than the Wii and GameCube games. Also, I think the Mario Karts where there's 8 players in a race is a lot better than having 12 players in a race. It's just a lot more annoying when there's more people, which is also why DS is my favorite game, because there's 8 players and not 12. Also, Wii's item pool and the items it added is just really annoying, like the POW block and the Mega Mushroom. I'm not a fan of that at all. And I just think 64 manages to do more with less. Number 12. Pokemon Legends Arceus had the greatest mechanics for encountering Pokemon in the whole series. Random forced encounters in earlier games is genuinely really obnoxious. Like, you can't say that it's fun to just be running around trying to get from point A to point B, then every 2 seconds you just get stopped by some stupid encounter of the same, like, Zubat over and over that you don't want to catch and don't care about. And also the way Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield did it, where you can at least see them and try and avoid them, that's better, but it's still annoying because literally if you touch anything, you're forced to battle it. But in Arceus, you can touch a Pokemon in the overworld and you don't get forced to battle it. It's only a matter of when you want to, you can throw your Pokemon at it and then start a fight. That is perfect. Number 13. Pokemon BDSP is not worse than Diamond and Pearl. Just because it was a disappointing and too faithful remake of the game doesn't mean it's worse, because literally, if it's just a faithful remake, it's practically the same thing. It's just that it looks more updated in terms of graphics, and yes, it has the dumb chibi, which, yeah, that's stupid, but it has 3D graphics now, and it just runs a lot faster. Like, you can beat that game so much quicker than the original Diamond and Pearl, which have a lot that really slow them down. Number 14. Mario Party 4 is the worst mainline game in the Mario Party series. The maps are terrible, and the item spaces only giving 1 of 2 items is just really lame, as opposed to being able to get, like, any item. And just the gimmick with those 2 items is just way too over-prevalent. It just really ruins the game. Number 15. A lot of Game Boy Advance entries feel and look like shovelware, or just significantly worse from console or 3D entries in their series, like Mario Kart, Banjo-Kazooie, Crash, and Spyro. Like, especially the final 3 I just listed, they're all just like generic isometric platformers that like do nothing to make themselves unique or interesting or fun or different. And also when you consider that a lot of Game Boy Advance entries are literally just remakes or like ports or whatever, like all of the mainline Mario games are just the 4 Advance games, which are literally just remakes. And then like Metroid, you had Zero Mission Kirby, you had Nightmare in Dreamland, Donkey Kong, you literally just had the 3 Donkey Kong countries. Anyway, number 16. The Switch downgrades in many ways from the 3DS, and this sort of goes off of what I said earlier about the 3DS being the greatest thing ever. The Switch doesn't have the mic, it doesn't have the camera, has barely any themes, has no home music, no vibe to it, no pre-installed games like Face Raiders or any of the stuff that's on the home menu of the 3DS, no free internet service because you have stupid Switch Online, no download play, all of that. 17. Mario Kart tracks get arguably worse and also lose character as time goes on. Like the tracks from 7 and 8 are probably the least memorable in the series. Simple yet effective tracks like in 64 and DS are much better than the eyesore, complicated tracks of way too much going on like we have now. They don't even feel like tracks anymore. Number 18. People only like Waluigi for the meme, and they only like Geno for the bandwagon. Nobody talks about Mallow like they talk about Geno, but they're practically of the same importance from Mario RPG, and most people that pretend they like Geno probably haven't even touched Mario RPG in their life, and they're probably like half the age that that game is. Number 19. The next Nintendo console shouldn't be the Switch 2, and it shouldn't even be related to the Switch at all, because if you think about what they did with the Wii U, that was a huge flop because they made it too similar to the Wii and they marketed it as if it was something to improve upon the Wii, and then it failed. They need to do something new and get unique again. But everyone's always like, oh yeah, the next gen console, it's going to be the Switch 2 or the Switch Pro. But what if it's not? Number 20. Even though there would be no point reading them, modern games should still have inserts and manuals. It just really makes it look a lot better when you open the case and it has a nice manual in there. 21. Playing games on original hardware and software as opposed to digital versions or emulators is much better and cooler. 22. Mobile consoles are better than home consoles. 23. Mario Party is better than Mario Kart as a series. 24. The baby characters in Mario games are just dumb additions. They're literally just the regular characters with more annoying voices. 25. Super Mario Galaxy 2 seems like a bunch of just worse gimmicks and holdover levels from Galaxy 1. Pretty much what I'm saying here is that Galaxy 1 is significantly better. 26. There are no games worth playing on the original Game Boy, unless you're talking about like a remake, like maybe Fire Red and Leaf Green or something, but the Game Boy is just so primitive and garbage, it just kind of ruins any experience on it automatically. 27. Making sequels to NES games on the Game Boy instead of the SNES is dumb, like Metroid and Kid Icarus. Why would you do that? Why would you downgrade graphically and just in every possible way just to make it handheld? I get it was like a novelty at the time, but you could have moved onto the SNES, but you didn't. I mean, they did with Metroid, but they made the second one on the Game Boy. 28. When a game is too difficult, it honestly becomes more obnoxious than fun and can really just make you want to get the game over with and not care about the rewards of the challenges or just anything about the game really, which is kind of why I hated most of those games I was talking about earlier, like the original Sonics and stuff. 29. Nintendo should have given a unique name to the main Yoshi and playable Toad characters instead of just sharing their names with their species. Kind of like how they gave Kamek a unique name instead of just making him also Magic Koopa. 30. Cartridges are cooler than discs, in terms of design and collecting, that is. 31. Even though modern games are far more ambitious and advanced, they're never as hype-worthy as games were back in the day. 32. Super Mario Bros. Wonder was honestly pretty underwhelming, especially as someone who grew up playing New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Like, that game had so much chaos with the 4-player mode, being able to, like, throw each other around and having player collisions and all that. Meanwhile, Mario Bros. Wonder does not have any of that, and it just feels a lot more, like, child-friendly and simple with having 4 players at once. Also, there's a very low variety of bosses, which was just kind of lame. There's no bonus modes or mini-games like in either of the original New Super Mario Bros., which are like 20 years older than this game is, and they somehow do that better. There's also, honestly, just a really underwhelming final boss, in my opinion. It was cool that it was a rhythm thing, I guess, but it was underwhelming. There's also just, like, less fortresses and castles overall, and no world map bosses. like the big Goomba in World 1 of New Super Mario Bros. Wii and all that. There was less main worlds. The list goes on. And honestly, I prefer Super Mario Bros. 3 to this game, even as someone who didn't even grow up with that game. 33. If your favorite game is mainly because of nostalgia, that's okay. There is no objective best game ever. 34. A huge quantity of Animal Crossing villagers are honestly just really ugly. 35. Water levels suck, and there is yet to be a game I've ever come across where they don't suck. 36. Arcade games that give automatic rewards and prizes are better than the regular ones that give you tickets to buy prizes with. Like claw machines, if you're good enough, or like card machines, like the Minecraft dungeons where you get free playing cards out of it to scan into the machine. And coin pushers where you can get little tokens. 37. Cartoonish and unique art styles are better than realistic ones. 38. Boss levels should not have long, hard level portions before the boss, especially without checkpoints frequently, because that is just terrible. And that's another reason all the original Sonics were so annoying. You sit there for so long running through the level, and it's so obnoxious. Then you get to the boss, and then you die to the boss, and to do it all over again. 39. Super Mario Bros. 3 is probably the only NES game actually worth playing. 40. King K. Rool's theme is better in Donkey Kong Country 2 than the original. 41. A lot of newer recent items in Mario Kart are dumb or just worth turning off in custom item mode, like the boomerang, the fire flower, the piranha plant, and the super leaf. 42. The DS was peak era for many game series, which I guess that one's not really a hot take, I just want to put that out there. 43. 64-bit graphics are actually really unique, iconic, and cool to see, as opposed to simply just being called bad graphics. 44. A lot of popular games probably wouldn't be as liked if they were indie games and didn't include popular characters. 45. Pokemon as a series has honestly always been lacking or behind in some way. Pretty much every main game could easily have better graphics for the time. There's always been lazy and bland designs in every generation, and a lot of the plots are genuinely dumb and people probably think otherwise out of nostalgia. 46. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom honestly just feels like a more tedious, lengthier version of Breath of the Wild. Like, I couldn't finish that game either just because it was like, been here, done that, and everything that's new is just annoying. 47. Even though Mario Party Island Tour has terrible boards and a terrible party mode, it's one of the best minigame sets in the series. 48. Mario Kart 7's Rainbow Road is better than Wii's. Wii doesn't do anything to make its Rainbow Road unique, while 7 is just about the only or most unique Rainbow Road out there. 49. Doing challenges during gameplay makes Fortnite better, and that's because I suck at the game, and I don't like competitive. Anyway, number 50, the final one. A lot of Minecraft updates that quote-unquote improve on biomes honestly make those biomes and the game overall more obnoxious, especially because of the mobs they add. Like adding the piglins into the hoglins in the nether is so annoying, you can't go anywhere without getting chased down, and adding the drowned to the water which is about the stupidest thing ever added. Some of the new nether biomes as well are just really annoying to just navigate through, like the soul sand valleys and the basalt deltas. So that was 50 video game hot takes. Hopefully you're not too upset at any of that. Like I said, don't be. And if you aren't, well, too bad, because next week I'm doing 50 more just specifically focused on Pokemon stuff, so yeah. But for now, if you liked this, or I don't know how you would have, considering it was all hot takes. But, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and all that. My cat is scratching at the door, and thanks for watching.